Hi everybody, in this video we're going to talk all about polynomials. At the end of the video, I want you guys to be able to define and classify the polynomial as well as add and subtract them together. Okay, so let's talk about what is a polynomial. It is the sum and difference of terms with whole number exponents. We can classify these by two ways. The first way is going to be by the number of terms. So a term, if you guys remember from a long time back, is just anything that is being multiplied together and is not broken up with a plus or minus. So this one has one term. It's going to be called a monomial. Two terms, notice it is broken up by a plus or minus in between. It's going to be a binomial, think bicycle, two terms. And then three terms is going to be a trinomial, think tricycle. And then anything more, we're just going to call by however many terms there are. So this one has four terms. We're going to call it a four-term polynomial. If there were five, you would say five-term polynomial, so on and so forth. So that is by the number of terms. Next, we can also classify it by degree. So here, if we don't have any variables, we're going to just call it a constant. So if you have just a number, it's a constant. If we have x to the first power, we're going to call it linear. So think like y is equal to mx plus b. We know that's a line, so it's linear. If we have an x squared as the highest degree, we're going to call it a quadratic. X cubed is going to be cubic. To the fourth power is going to be quartic. And to the fifth power is going to be quintic. Anything more, though, than 5, we're just going to call like the nth term. So if it was like x to the 8th power, we would just say that's the 8th degree polynomial. Okay, so those are our two different ways that we can classify. Now, let's go ahead and add and subtract them together. So we're going to do that by combining our like terms, and then we're going to write it in standard form, assuming we only have one variable. So sometimes we'll have like x's and y's and z's. We can't really write that in standard form, so standard form is only when we have just one variable. And to write it in standard form, we want to make sure that all the exponents are in order from greatest to least, going from left to right. So here's an example. Notice we have an x squared, we have a constant, we have an x cubed, and an x to the 6th power. We want to take the biggest exponent power, so that would be x to the 6th, that goes first, and then go down from there. So x to the 6th, then the x cubed, then the x squared, then the constant. So that is going to be in standard form. Okay, we got one more to go. So I want you guys to simplify this, write it in standard form, and then classify it by degree and by the number of terms. So first we're going to simplify. I'm looking here and I see parentheses. I have a negative in front of it, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative. This guy is also in parentheses, but really there's like an imaginary 1 right here. So if I were to distribute an imaginary 1, everything would stay the same. So I'm just going to take those guys out of parentheses. So I'm taking those guys out, distributing that negative, and now I'm going to see what I can combine. I notice that I have two constants or numbers, so I'm going to combine those together, 3 minus 6. I then have two x squareds here, so negative 2 minus 1 more. And then notice I have a lonely x right here. I cannot combine the x and the x squared because they don't have the same exponent power. So that x just has to stay by itself. So I'm also going to write it in standard form. So I'm writing negative 3x squared first, then the x, then the negative 3. This is in standard form. And then lastly, it's asking me to classify. I'm going to do it by degree first. So the highest exponent is 2. So that is a quadratic. And then I'm counting. I have 1, 2, 3 terms. So it's going to be a trinomial. So we call this a quadratic trinomial. Super exciting, I know. All right, so that's the end of the video. If you guys have questions, let me know. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.